Hey, it's Brett and Coach here. Today I am in Dusseldorf, Germany, taking a Eurowings flight to London Heathrow. So let's go find our gate. If you've been following along, you will know that earlier today I took a flight from Recca to here in Dusseldorf, Germany, so I can make my connection to London and then off to O'Hare in Chicago. Ooh, this does not look correct. So it looks like we'll have to go through some sort of passport control just because the UK's not a part of the EU like Germany and Croatia was. So we're concerned that if we do that now that there won't be food options up there. So we're going to explore this terminal and see what there is for like food, shopping, all that type of stuff, because I have a handful of euro to spend as well.
Didn't really find anything to spend my euro on, so I'll just change it back with my bank. But we were hungry, so we headed to Houseman's restaurant for some lunch, and we were able to watch the planes come in on the runway to make their landings. And for lunch, I got the chips and sausage, which had a really nice curry sauce. Saw this interesting Emirates plane, and quickly wrapped up lunch.
This is the Sandwich Index.
So for the sandwich index here in Dusseldorf, it looked like it kind of ranged depending on what you would buy for a takeaway. It ranged from about 5, which was a vegetarian, to about 9. So depending on what you get, could be worth it. Not the worst price for a sandwich I've seen in an airport. So I'm going to say thumbs up for me. I don't really plan on buying one today just because we had lunch right over there. Pretty decent lunch. Probably would have preferred the sandwich, but oh well.
This concludes the Sandwich Index.
Now let's head through passport control, and we head to our gate. In an extra special round 2 of the...
This is the Sandwich Index.
Part 2 of the sandwich index here in Dusseldorf. The ones were previously before passport check were about the same prices of the little triangle sandwiches at this kiosk after, and they're the same price, which that doesn't feel correct. Just because I'm forced to go through passport control doesn't make me get a worse sandwich. Like, why can't they just be appropriately priced? So that makes me question prices here a little bit. But you know, I'm still not going to get either, so feelings aren't really hurt.
This concludes the Sandwich Index.
For real this time, I promise. Hey, it's Editor Brett here. I just had to step in quick because I had a whole story about what happened during passport control that I told waiting for the plane to board and get on the flight, that when I am now looking back on it, it has no audio. So that's great for me. So Brian and I get up to passport control and there's 2 separate lines with no one in. So we both decide, let's each go at the same time, 2 separate lines, and let's get it done right away. Brian steps up, basically gets passed through in a minute. Everything's stamped and he's set to go. I walk up and there's 3 guys in the little booth. The middle one looks at me and goes, "Do you even speak English?" I said hi, I gave a greeting, I handed my American passport, and that's what he replies with. So I can already tell it's not starting out great. And the other 2 guys in there are just laughing at me. I didn't do anything to be laughed at, so that's already what's going on. And then he just starts grilling into me. Clearly Brian didn't get this from whoever helped him out because he was already done. I was grilled about why am I in Germany, how long I've been in Germany, why was I in Croatia, what was I doing in Croatia, what do you mean it was for a diving competition, was it sponsored, who was there, did you meet anyone? Why were you in Copenhagen? What were you doing there? What did you see? Who did you talk to? When did you leave the United States? Why did you leave the United States? Just the biggest list of questions that they could have possibly asked. Granted, I understand passport control. They are trying to protect their country, and I understand that England is no longer in the EU while Croatia and Germany are. So I answer all the questions, and then just 30 seconds of staring at each other stamps my passport, and I go on my way. The story doesn't end there, though. So we get to the gate, I set my backpack down, I look at Brian and go, "Hey, I gotta run to the bathroom quick. Yeah, I'll be back in 2 minutes, maybe I'll wander around." So I make my way into the bathroom. It's empty. Perfect. Great. No big deal. Just get in, get out, and I can go sit back down. In walks the guy from passport control. While I'm peeing, this guy goes, "Oh, hey, Brett," and says my last name, just in public. Fully recognizes me and tries to like start bantering with me. Dude, I'm just trying to pee and get out. I'm just trying to wash my hands and leave. You try to do that extra step and ask me a million questions. We're not friends now. It was just a weird interaction that really caught me off guard, especially using like my full government name in the bathroom. Wasn't necessary, dude. Just a weird situation, and he just gave me weird vibes all around. So left of the bathroom, went back, and I see him like mildly patrolling the gate area, make eye contact a couple times, but thankfully no other interaction. Just a weird story that it felt very unnecessary for passport control, even though I do understand trying to protect themselves. But let me know, how would you react in that situation, and how would you feel about it? Because I'm still kinda, gave me the ick for sure. But now, back to the rest of the video.
We should be boarding here pretty shortly, no delays, and it should be a Eurowings plane this time, so everything's looking good for our flight to Heathrow. We are now on the jet bridge, finally boarding our flight. This has been one of the longest boarding processes I've been on. They all put us in one line and then slow as possible checked everyone in, which was mildly annoying. And that'll probably make the flight a couple minutes late, but ultimately it's a 25-minute flight because it's an hour and 25-minute flight, and then we time travel back an hour.
Don't forget to touch the plane for good luck. We take our seats on another Air Baltic plane. Once again adorned with its lime green accent lighting, and it is in the same 2-3 configuration. But this one didn't really have an in-person safety demo, it just played everything on these screens. From buckling up to no smoking, and everything in between. And the jet bridge got pulled back, meaning boarding was complete. So we pushed off from the gate, and we were headed to the runway. But we had to wait for this little plane to land before it was our turn. But now, let's take to the skies.
I would say I am a little disappointed that this is another Air Baltic plane and not an actual Eurowings plane. I guess they have some sort of partnership because they have multiple flights like this, but I would rather be able to look at the Eurowings plane instead of basically reviewing the same plane twice. And I think it would be nice if they let the passengers actually know that ahead of time than just showing up and saying get on. Same with cushiness as the previous seat, and same width as the previous seat as well. As for seat legroom, it is about the same, if not the exact same between previous flights, as well as storage compartment for my backpack.
And in the seat back pocket, it had the lime green safety card, a food menu if you wanted to purchase extras, as well as a flight magazine.
Also, a big difference between the other plane and this plane is that this one has all 6 working emergency exits, so there's no technical difficulty, and it could be a fully booked flight, which I think it is, or very close to. So that is a little bit more of a comforting sign as well.
I do have to take off points for the overall experience just based on how dirty this plane is. A lot of garbage all over the seat, as well as some weird spots that I don't really want to know the origins of, and a very dirty tray table covered in what I think is coffee grounds or crumbs.
Also, I feel like what made this plane about 20 minutes delayed was people boarding the plane. People seem to be moving pretty slowly, and the 2 seats ahead of us, it's a father and their kid, and they took a seat of a different woman. That woman then boarded the plane and was bounced around from seat to seat just because everyone kept taking her seats. So she ended up in the very back, I believe. She seemed pretty nice about it and allowed the family to sit together, but I think it created a little bit of a delay and had to get the flight crew involved, but it seemed to work itself out. So the flight crew just came out with their little drink cart, and first of all, it sounded like they were just out of a lot of things, like soda and juice. Secondly, they just completely skipped a row. They didn't even bother asking us for even water, coffee, anything that they did have. So I don't know if they're fully on top of their game today. Considering they didn't do an in-flight safety demo, they just played the little video and didn't actually do the whole seatbelt life preserver thing, which I found very odd because I thought they had to do that every single flight across the world. So to them, just to fully skip it seems a little weird to me. I don't feel like this crew is as personable or excited as our last Eurowings crew. They seem to be just trying to get through the motions as fast as possible. Granted, I guess this is only an hour flight instead of an hour and a half, so they have a very limited time to actually be wandering around the cabin helping out passengers, but everything seems very rushed, very forced, and just trying to get through it instead of actively communicating with passengers. I don't know about this one, crew-wise. Also, the amount of people just standing up in the aisle to stand up and drink, apparently, has been a few too many. It's a midday flight. I didn't know we had to party this hard on this flight. There's being pretty quiet about everything, but it's still like, oh, I guess. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of this window configuration. I'm directly in the middle of two of them. Granted, I do get two different views then, but I'd rather have one in the center. That's just how the cookie crumbles, though. That's just the seat we picked. We really couldn't do anything about that one. Complaining to complain, I guess. We are going to start our descent down into London within the next 5-10 minutes or so, just because there's less than 30 minutes into this flight. I would say this flight definitely highlights the fact the crew makes up a lot of the flight experience, and this flight just wasn't up to the par I expected, especially that I've flown Eurowings earlier today. I thought the other crew was just a little bit more attentive and accommodating versus this one. Both of them I do have no issues with. I don't really have any actual complaints. It's just my preference at this point. It really highlights what difference they make in the passenger experience, the soft product of it all. Was it worth the value? I guess. Yeah, it was a cheap inter-European flight, just a precursor to our long-haul flight, which is London Heathrow to Chicago O'Hare, which hopefully will go smoothly just because we have about a 12-14 hour break in between. We leave about 7:30 tomorrow morning and we have a hotel for that. I think this crew is doing their final walkthrough very late, if they're even going to do one, considering it's 17 minutes till it lands according to the little screen, and they went through and picked up trash once. Didn't tell anyone for tray tables or anything like that. Didn't tell anyone to sit down. So I think they're cutting it a little close on that. Again, I don't think they're as attentive as the previous crew. And that's not me trying to be overly critical for one crew or the other. It's just when you have a direct comparison like that, it's easy to pick up on those differences and really hammer down on them. So again, I don't think they're doing bad. I just think that the direct comparison is not in their favor. Other than that, this has been Brett in Coach with another flight review video, this time of Eurowings. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know which Euro flight in the comments below you thought was a better experience, if you could notice a difference between the two. But I will see you in Coach.